My thoughts on 4chan's hack and 4chan in general. For those of you who don't already know, April 15th, 4chan allegedly got hacked, and as a result, there were some data leaks, and still today, 4chan is experiencing outages. The site isn't functional, in other words. Who did it? A rival image board claims to have done it. They call themselves soyjack.party. But how did this happen, supposedly? Well, 4chan's version of PHP was outdated as far back as 2016. Their own code was exploitable for perhaps even longer, and their server, running on FreeBSD, is also said to have been old and out of date and subject to exploitation. I suspect this is in part an inside job. There have been WordPress blogs and forum software like PHP BB and websites in general with far smaller user base, with far less visits each day, and are infinitely less important, but they get the attention of attackers. Granted, since WordPress and PHP BB and other software is open source, the knowledge of what is exploitable in older versions is relatively widely known, but exploits with PHP and FreeBSD is open source as well, and its exploits would also be widely known. Yet, it wasn't exploited, it wasn't hacked. 4chan wasn't attacked until now. What I do like about this story is that given how large 4chan is, I would like to use it as an example against the notion that PHP doesn't scale, but that could just be the strength of Nginx alone perhaps. I'm not surprised by other allegations made based on data that was leaked. There is a significant portion of 4chan operators that use .edu emails. I also don't find this shocking either. Nor do I find it all too relevant. I don't care. 4chan was happily sold off in 2015. The buyer made mention of 4chan having poor revenue and high operating costs. I considered buying 4chan ads, but I wanted to see if anyone else had success. Ads for Discord servers and crypto projects did not seem to yield click-throughs and interest, so I never bought the ads. I don't believe 4chan was acquired just so that its finances could break even, or maybe even lose a marginal amount of money. But it would be nice if someone were to do that. I'll put this out there too. USAID was recently dismantled, and now 4chan goes down. Probably just a coincidence, but I have this nagging inclination to mention it. I'm not going to miss 4chan because I already missed 4chan. But back when I missed 4chan, I didn't have a long history of using it. I didn't rely on it for anything. Poll, well, I see a lot of people claiming to be right-wing on Poll, but all they ever seem to do is tear down their own side. They demoralize other rightists, then get upset when someone on the right takes action they don't like. Thing is, demoralized voters don't vote. They don't become constituents, and they don't have the numbers to swing elections in their favor. No matter what someone on the right does, these people always find something to serve as a point of contention anyway. So there's no bargaining with them, there's no gaining their trust or favor, so why would anything change? Anything that matters to them anyway. What I'm interested in is defeating the Democrats. I'm happy with Trump's first term, and I'm even happier with his second term. So the whole demoralization that I keep seeing on Poll, not into it. Doesn't serve my interests. Seems to serve the interests of people who don't want Trump elected, so they're using our own, I don't know, I wouldn't even say they're their own, they're just trying. They're trying to get people to not vote for Trump, and it only worked in 2020, but we can't talk, I don't know, can we talk about 2020 these days? I don't know if we could, but you know what happened. You know what people say on our side, what happened with 2020, the shenanigans. But anyway, I get told Poll was a treasure trove of knowledge, but instead it's just posts about how evil the Jews are, and they do this at such a volume that these posts are just burying other posts about how evil Jews are. I can only hear about the USS Liberty so much, You know what it feels like hearing about the USS Liberty so much over and over and over again? It feels like someone out there is hoping that they are one... It feels like someone out there believes that they are one USS Liberty mention away from getting everyone to finally do something against Israel. Maybe they'll drive everyone into exterminating people at levels high enough, worthy of denying that anyone got exterminated. It hasn't gotten to that level, and it never will, so you know what it actually really feels like? Classic government incompetence. some foreign country that has a problem with Israel wasting time and resources. It also feels counterintuitive at times. How can hatred for Israel or Jewish people ever become mainstream when your team consists of edgelords mentioning USS Liberty yet again? I could see how Jews in Israel can benefit from this if Jewish world dominance was real. The only way hating Israel and Jewish people will ever become mainstream is if the Western world continues to import the Arab world into their countries. Instead of wondering why you're not allowed to criticize Israel, ask why those carrying water for the Palestinians can criticize Israel. Why are only leftists and trannies allowed to criticize Israel? I can see how Israel and the Jews benefit from this, if Jewish world dominance is real. You notice annoying hyper-fixated misfits on either side fighting for the same cause. You notice yourself associating these people with criticism of Israel and the Jews. Meanwhile, Israel and the Jews are crossing their fingers, maybe, hoping this doesn't backfire, resulting in demoralized leftists and rightists unwilling to support anyone, and whoever they do support having the stench of these people on their candidate, making that candidate, purely on association, a candidate not worthy of support. I can see how Israel and the Jews benefit from this if Jewish world order, if Jewish world dominance is real. I've said that a couple times, I'm not being sarcastic. NATO, we spend a lot of money on NATO. Europe enjoys its spot in the world because of NATO. You can say that America, or if you prefer Israel, is pulling the strings on NATO, and Europe is a victim. It's the other way around for me. Criticizing Israel helps NATO. People who fancy themselves of being aware of the evils of Israel and the Jews refer to themselves as noticers, among other things. I've noticed a few things myself too, though. I've noticed that the criticism of America's expenditures is only ever criticized as it relates to Israel. Not the money that goes to the rest of the world, not the money that goes to Ukraine, not the money that goes to Arab countries, not the money that gets wasted on NATO. Israel. I can see how the entire world benefits from this. Don't think about the money given to Ukraine, the Middle East, Africa, Haiti, South America, and for God's sakes, Bangladesh and India. No, only think about money given to Israel so that the rest of the world can secure the money they get. I was hoping that the intense coverage and support Ukraine gets would have shifted focus and helped people to consider all the money we send everywhere else, but it hasn't. 68 billion of the entire world. That's what we give to across 172 countries. A near trillion is allotted for NATO. But you know what? Screw all that. What about the trade imbalances we never talked about until recently? 270 billion in trade deficits to China, 157 billion to Mexico, 113 to Vietnam, and there's many more countries in the hundreds of billions. In 2024, our trade deficit with all countries combined is 1.2 trillion. You want me to lose sleep over 14 billion in military aid to Israel? Which, by the way, that's a recent number. They usually just get around 4. Also, you do know that there are conditions for aid to Israel, right? Between 1973 and 2015, 100% of all military aid to Israel was to be spent on American-made defense articles, services, training, that kind of stuff. Between 2019 to now, Israel has to spend 87% of their aid, also on the things I mentioned before. So what the hell? Don't get me wrong. AIPAC gives money to Democrats, and I hate them for that. Dual citizenship is wrong and needs to be outlawed. We're broke and shouldn't give money to any country. It's just, you can't expect me to froth at the mouth at every opportunity I have to focus only on Israel. This anti-Israeli aid narrative has been going on for decades now, and the narrative never becomes broader to highlight the problem of aid to other countries in general. I don't care if Israel is better at pouncing on people over this because, well, this is the only aid that ever gets attacked. Sorry this video veered off into Israel, but I'm trying to assess the value I have in 4chan, and it's 4chan's fault for melting down over Israel so heavily. So that's not me, that's them. They made me think about this in a different way. Unintentionally, but they did. This is why we're talking about this. I have to wonder why anyone wants to tell anyone anything these days online. Perhaps that's schizophrenic of me. I've seen footage of click farms. I see how AI can mimic the speech of a retard on social media. So, worst case scenario, Foreign governments are influencing Americans using click farms. Best case scenario, everyone only cares about Israel and nothing else. I doubt that this is real. I doubt that this is actually the case, but I don't know. You know what the irony of the worst case scenario is? You're told by the influence of another country that you shouldn't have your country influenced by Israel. Well played. What about the other boards? Well, we had Biz. Biz isn't much of use to me, aside from the general thread. Everything else is altcoin spam, very dubious. TV, well, if I have to catch a live event, TV might be good for that. Someone might, drop a link or something. But otherwise, it's just people posting a picture and saying a reference to it. Sometimes, or rather most times, that reference is only 30 characters long and no good comes of it. The thread sucks. All of them. The majority. Retro games can be fun, but that itch gets scratched sufficiently by other platforms, so plus I play them. Torrents has a lot of what I don't want. I'm not going to get into that. It's just a lot of terrible stuff I don't want. Wallpapers. Wallpaper forum's good. You know what, fine. 4chan is fine. I'll miss it. There's boards I've never used because I don't care about the subject, but maybe they all don't have the same trash magnet that Biz and TV did. Maybe G and K were good? I don't know. But there you have it. That's my take on the latest in 4chan with their hack and the leak. I haven't really talked much about the leak as it pertains to those EDU emails and government involvement, but I kind of did because I'm suggesting that foreign governments have their hands in this as well. They're all trying to influence Americans. They're I don't know what to think. I just don't like it. I like I said earlier, I can only hear about the USS Liberty attack so much, and I don't need to hear it again. It's not gonna. There's never gonna come a day where hearing about the USS Liberty is gonna flip a switch in my brain and make me forget about all of our trade deficits, make me forget about NATO, make me forget about all the other countries we give money to, make me forget about the conditions that have been put on Israel when we do give them money. It's not gonna make me forget any of that stuff. So it's never going to there will never be a last straw. I already don't like APAC. I already don't like dual citizenship. So where else am I possibly going to go? You're gonna mention that we were like a little off on the 16 million number, and then that's supposed to awaken some kind of inner Hitler in me. No, it's not gonna happen. Yeah. Speaking of Jews and how they're grifting and into shilling and money and stuff, don't forget to like this video and don't forget to subscribe. I don't know why you would for this one. I shouldn't put this video out there, but whatever. Love for you to leave a comment. Love for you to leave a comment that's negative. We had a video about libertarians and how I supposedly strawmanned them, and that video generated a lot of comments, and I was really happy with that. So comments always appreciated. I like that more than likes. I like that more than subs, frankly. I think 4chan is going to come back, and it's going to be forgiven. The other boards out there will siphon each other, and 4chan just cast too wide of a net to be left behind. Maybe there will be a public change in leadership, a pivot in how they gain revenue, some gestures to earn back its trust. We'll see. Maybe they won't do anything because, let's face it, you guys are addicts. Where else come on. Where else are you going to post about dumb Japanese cartoons? Where else are you going to chase hacker femboy people? Air quotes, by the way. You'll come back, and I'll still be away.